Here's a little snippet from my VIP voice chat where we all get on and share screens and share ideas. This is from the Patreon community yesterday. I led off and then it pretty much turned into a B-Pro dominated conversation, but I wanted to show you something, how I had an idea knowing that the pressure was mostly down, and it ended up playing out exactly as I predicted. Not that my predictions of recent have been amazing because it's been too choppy. However, I want to show you an example of how you have an idea and you know that that would give you the clue if some type of reversal came to pass, as opposed to doing what everybody else is talking about and only focusing on what the consensus is. I went against the consensus, not saying you should think this is going to happen, but if it does happen, this is precisely what you would look for, and it ended up being the exact things to look for, which gave you the first signals. So I'm going to play this here from there, and the first major thing is ETH would lead Bitcoin and move first, which it did, and two, the 15-minute 200 EMA and the 4-hour 10, which those EMAs align almost the same, so the lines fit the same area, would be the things to watch. However, watching the 15-minute with the 200 EMA would allow you to see the chaos of different smaller candles within each 4-hour candle as to be better prepped. So here is how this went before this pop happened. Simply, what I'm looking at is mostly ETH. 15-minute 200 EMA. And this, what that does is it allows you to view the microcosm or the chaos within the 4-hour candle. So you can simply consider this orange line the 4-hour 10 and see all the things that make up that 4-hour candle within here. So the right-hand side of the screen is the recording. Left-hand side is what actually happened. So at the time of recording, this is where price was, okay? So RSI was about here at that time. So it was about right there, okay? All right, so for example, being able to see this on the 15-minute compared to the 4-hour, so you can see that it's trying to break above that green line. Seeing that type of chaos within the 4-hour, I think is a really cool combo. So what you see here is a rejection off of the 10. And sometimes you can get in a groove mentally about which two time frames you like to mix together to have one feed into the next. But the 15 and 4-hour, I mean, I would prefer 15 than 1 and 4. But for this case, I'm having a pretty big jump between 15 and 4, but it seems to work pretty well. So we have a test back up to the 10, which as we know, it typically fails it twice within a dump. So within this dump, it got once, twice. Now it looks like it is trying it right again immediately with the 4-hour RSI getting above here, which is good, and pinging off of this RSI, and staying actually above it. So that's a pretty darn good sign right there. And within that context, to try to know, okay, well, you're still below the red line, so what's the chance of it really working its way up above this line? And then I feel that the 15-minute gives some type of hint into that, whether this is going to have the oomph to get past here or not. And it all really depends on this RSI. If you can stay above the white line or not and get above here, then it'll probably bust through pretty hard, and then it will associate with that. And so on the 15-minute, what I like to do is see how low things go when the Stokes are all the way down. So that's my measure of strength oftentimes on a time frame, is when Stokes are down, where is price relative to EMAs or to ribbons or whatever? And since you haven't touched bottom yet, it's really not known for sure, but it does look, in this very micro context, it looks like it could keep going. It definitely looks stronger than this, where the 15-minute RSI could not get above that white line. This went all the way to the green line. It's wanting to stay above. It looks like it wants to push up in regard, and that would feed into the 15-minute Stokes not going down again. it wouldn't touch this most likely. It would just keep pumping. And what you'd see in the end, if this ends up happening, is the 15-minute Stokes just staying up here as
up there. Bam.
The RSI climbs potentially about here and hovers around the green mark. I think all those things would go in line, and it feeds pretty well into the... I have the wrong EMA on, though. Should have had the 200. And that's going to feed pretty well into the 4-hour 10. So that's how I'm viewing things. Right now, it looks okay on the very, very crackhead timeframes. Obviously, pressure's down. I want to make that very clear. Being in a short trade right now is not a bad move. I absolutely in no way trying to tell anybody that, because this 15-minute 200 EMA has got it right pretty much the whole time. So until you get a closure above it and a retest down and then a move back up, once it crosses that local high after moving above it, that's when you can be a little bit more sure about everything.
Okay, so on that last part, can we be more sure about everything yet? I mean, this could dump right back down. It could. I don't think it will. I think this is going straight to like 43K minimum, or at least on Bitcoin. So I said I'm looking at ETH. I really don't know how high ETH's going to go. I just knew that ETH would lead the bounce if it's going to bounce. So, and it was correct. So, sometimes it's been really hard to make good calls, and I finally made a good call. And I won't lie, I've made some in this choppy market. Not really too many people have made many calls at all because it hasn't been moving, right? And most calls are saying it's going down. But I knew that since everybody was saying it in the shorts, and really my biggest hint, which somebody gave justification that I was totally wrong, which I wasn't wrong, obviously, at this point. I think it's obvious at this point. It might not be. That this is mass market psychology, this structure, and this is not mass market psychology. This was whales slowly accumulating longs, probably trying to get retail to really pump that up so that this didn't look too suspicious. Slowly been accumulating longs since probably June, after leading the market to get long, liquidating them obviously, and that looks like whales accumulating very, very slowly, which is the entire point of wyckoff. Accumulation slowly. As price is suppress price longer, you're going to bore people out of the market. You have to, so over time, you actually have to put less and less sell pressure in order to suppress price, because there aren't many interested people after price doesn't freaking move. People get out of it, right? And so it's not difficult to accumulate it. And then the wyckoff type of distribution pattern happens to assets in which those market movers have a lot of faith that it's going to go up, and that's why they wanted to accumulate lower. So those are the dots that I put together. And remember, how I was able to see this was from Crypto Quant. Right when the whale ratio fell down, I knew that it was going to pump. And I could roughly confirm in my mind, without trying to be overconfident again, say 90% again. Right when this ticked back down, right when the whale ratio ticked back down, how do I just move this? There we go. Right when this came down, it was up here. Once it came down, that whale ratio finally aligned with the idea that whales realized retail folks are going to benefit from a drop down because they are poised to buy, which is very clear in the off-chain data. But whales, before this dropped, they were prepared to sell, which didn't make sense. And the data is clearly saying retail people will benefit from a drop because they're freaking ready. Besides the gamblers who have a lot of their tether in futures accounts to short, well, that's clear. But still, the majority, and you can see this Okay, here's like another base rule. Whenever Tether is number 3, it's a good time to be buying. Now, I don't know how perfect that statement is. However, by having been in this for 4 years, it's a good time to buy every time. Could it stay there for 6 months and go lower? Absolutely. But Bitcoin, over time, is a better time to buy when Tether has been number 3. Similar to being under, let's say, the weekly 21 or the weekly 10 or the daily 200, which is kind of rare. But whenever Tether's number 3, it's a good time to buy. So that it kind of aligns with, the analysis. So Tether's number 3 because so many people are holding it. They're ready to buy lower, right? And so when the whale ratio came down, I realized, whales realize that they've baited enough gamblers to take on shorts, which this looks like mass market psychology, so they'll still make money by pumping this because they have been able to accumulate their longs nice and slowly without causing any alarms, kind of like shorts just went straight up, and now they're getting kabammed. And you can see right before the move up that the few folks who, the whales perhaps who were driving price down, who had short positions, they quietly closed them. And then when mass market people started closing them, the candles got bigger. So mass market psychology just moves in bigger swings. Without, hedge funds with consistent very complex algorithms and all that stuff. So let's go back to Ethereum. I wanted to show you that Ethereum truly was leading. Real quick here, 15-minute, 200 EMA. Watch this. Ethereum was consolidating right at this. See how it consolidated right there, then blew right at that 15-minute? When was the first big 15-minute candle? Here, as it crossed it. When was the first big 4-hour candle? When it crossed what? The 10, I think. Yes, see that? Okay, so, and I saw that those two lines have been getting it right. So that's why I gave that suggestion. And again, I got this right, and I've gotten a lot of other things wrong. So I don't want to sit here and say I'm a genius, I'm 100%. No one's been freaking 100%. Actually, about 90% of YouTubers have been saying down. I was one of the few people kind of justifying going up. So, so touche. I've been wrong a lot recently, and so has everybody. That's just the way it is. So I don't want to come across as saying, "Oh, look, I'm right," like I always am. I'm not going to do that. When I've been wrong, I feel hell. I've even apologized for it, right? So I just don't want to see those comments. It kind of frustrates me a little bit, particularly when I feel it's not merited. But anyway, your comments don't frustrate me that much. Even the bad comments, I typically get a kick out of it because a lot of times you guys are pretty witty about it. Anyway, Bitcoin was following Ethereum. Let me take off the 10. As Ethereum was basing right under, Bitcoin was not. See this? Bitcoin was clearly just chilling at the bottom of its triangle, waiting for Ethereum to make its mind. And when Ethereum made its mind, so it started at the very beginning of the trading day. Wow, it didn't wait a second. No way. Yep, very beginning. So that very first candle, that's when ETH was breaking and definitively passing that 200 EMA, which then said to Bitcoin, okay, I made up my mind. So Bitcoin started catching up. 15 minutes later. Bitcoin didn't, so it had to print an even bigger 15-minute candle 15 minutes later to get roughly to where Ethereum was. So it's kind of like this was a pretty complex interpretation of what is about to happen. And it ended up playing out correctly. So it's also important to analyze what you said and how well it played out and to see if maybe there were actually other reasons behind it. And there was one within that same conversation. It was actually the next hour, but most of the same people stayed on in the Discord Patreon community who were there for the Crypto Crackhead live chat. But in the next chat we had, somebody said that today is the B word day. B word as in Bitcoin as opposed to biatch. And it supposedly is going to create bullishness. So, I don't follow news, but that is one area of interest that could be, making what my analysis was just luck, and it really was more based on Elon Musk talking with other people about Bitcoin. It's totally possible. And so that VIP said, when I had been doing analysis, and I said, I think it's going to be Wednesday we see a move, which it actually happened at Wednesday exactly at the hour, trading Wednesday, which is kind of weird. He said he had a smile on his face because he knew that the B word event was on Wednesday, and he also thought Wednesday was bullish, but for totally different reasons. So I want to be very clear. My analysis, it looks like it nailed it. And honestly, the 15-minute 200 was the thing to be watching, on ETH specifically. So that was a pretty good call. But it is possible that most of my analysis got lucky because the B word event of which I was totally unaware until this was roughly playing out. I learned about it about right there during that live chat. Or you saw where it was. You saw where Bitcoin was. Or Ethereum. I was watching Ethereum. So I want to be very conscious of that, is the next time I see the same data aligning, crypto quant info showing that retail folks are ready to buy lower, which means whales won't have great incentive to dump price because the little people are going to benefit, right? Tether being number 3. So all the things that I've gone over, I need to make sure that in the future, if anything aligns anywhere similarly, that I remember that there was also an event. So in a trading journal, I would want to write that down so that when this happens in the future, whenever that happens, or anything similar without the event, you take a slightly more reserved approach and maybe don't bet the house on it, for example, because it worked so beautifully this time. So I wanted to follow up with you on this video in specific regard to how this worked. However, you need to find reasons to doubt your own analysis in the future. Like, did I miss something? Did I just get lucky? And what I missed was the real reason, and I was totally unaware. You always have to be challenging yourself. And so, even in moments you get it right, you can't just sit back and say, haha, look at this, that was amazing. Can't do that. You have to figure out, what did I miss? And was that the thing I missed actually what caused me to be accidentally correct? Now, I don't think it was, that's beyond coincidence that it happened right there and Bitcoin was way down here and Bitcoin decided to charge up on the next 15-minute candle after that. Too many things aligned. However, that is something to put in question. It all could have just magically aligned with the beginning of the day of that B word event, and all of my analysis was really trash, which is totally possible, and all this is the B word event. But then you got to think, well, maybe my analysis interpreted the lead up to the B word event correctly. That folks with money were trying to suppress it just the day before and make ETH and Bitcoin align at the bottom and actually past the bottom of the triangles to get people to take on shorts and then pump it the day of. And my analysis was actually reading into that correctly without even being aware of the news. Right? And so you need to, and really, I don't know what the answer is. And so when so many people say, oh, it could go up, it could go sideways, and it could go down, or no. It could go up, it could go down, it could go sideways, great analysis. Yes, that actually is the analysis every single day. Right? And when you guess this, and you guessed perfectly, you still have to doubt, or you have to enhance your post-analysis. You have to create a post-analysis that adds on to your analysis that got it right and figure out which elements were right and what did I miss. That's the only thing that I want to say to you today. So be analyzing what you analyze after it plays out, even when you're right. And that's something I've never stressed before. Because a lot of people have interpreted me as, because when everything was up, like every call I made was almost exactly right? It was easy. And most people new to this at that time didn't realize that it was easy, even though I swear, if you go back on my videos, I told you all, everything is just up. It's not this easy when things are down. I said it, and I said I'm not a genius multiple times. But then I just, whatever. I came across this cocky and arrogant, whatever. But now that the market's much more difficult to read, I want to perhaps, I guess, make up for that for when I do things correctly. I want to try to figure out, did I actually do it correctly, or did I get lucky, or a mixture of both? And I stress that you do the same in your analysis. So to wrap up here, I'm going to look at Bitcoin. Actually, no, let's look at Ethereum, see how high it might go. Because if there are major obstacles and Ethereum can't, like the daily 200, this is a pretty big test. It looks like it's going to fly past it though. Yeah, this is going to charge right past it. Yeah, I think something like this will happen, and the same darn dead cat bounce might happen. But so the next test for Ethereum is going to be in this box. So if Ethereum gets a hard rejection off of here, I think it's going to pass the triangle, no problem. So actually, you know what? I will look at Ethereum. I think it does. I think things are going to lean on Ethereum here to decide. So what I would be looking for on Ethereum is to get past here on the daily. And what you might do is go like this. Draw the line on your graph of the daily 200 because it's the next big line. Draw it out, then go down to the whatever smaller time frame and look how price on Ethereum is interacting with it. And lo and frickin' behold, wick down, trying it again. It's exactly there right now, right? So you can see that on the 15-minute scale. Once it does pass it, you probably want to see a retest. You want to see it come back down and test it. Because if it just flies past and never comes back down, especially leaves the triangle, what's probably going to happen without that retest is it's going to hit that green box up here around 2,300, and price of Ethereum is going to come slamming back down to that daily 200 and the top of the triangle somewhere like that. If it just goes like this, it's going to come back down, which that wouldn't be too big of a drop, I guess. Hold shift and click. Thank you for that. So it's a 15% drop. I would rather see, instead of it going straight up to 2,300 something, I would like to see it go like this. Here, then base back off that high, and then bust through. Above here. I mean, just the more rechecks you get of the thing you just passed. So you pass the 200, you come back, recheck it. You pass the triangle, you come back to recheck it. You hit a resistance, you come back to check the height of the last little high you made. You pass that green box, you come back to check the green. That's what I like to see in healthy price movement, right? So if you see something like that, your analysis of will this continue, you should lean towards thumbs up. It's going to continue if you see those healthy rechecks of obstacles passed. So right now, in summary on Ethereum, I think is the thing to be watching. A. B. The number one thing to be watching right now is the daily 200 EMA. Bitcoin is right at it. I just don't know how you couldn't believe. Like, if you don't believe it, I don't know how you can't. If we're seeing this live and it's touching it to the exact T after I draw it out. It really looks like Ethereum's going to have the to get past it. But the next obstacle could be the height of this triangle. The top of the triangle, which is aligning with the 4-hour 200 EMA. So that would be the next line of defense is Ethereum needs to get above this 4-hour 200 EMA, which aligns with the top of the triangle, which probably is what made the triangle. Something pattern traders typically don't understand about diagonals is it's usually caused by the EMA, and that's what's happening. It's not just the shape. But anyway, because they move, EMAs move up on diagonals, and they move down on diagonals, which is a primary reason why triangles are made. But anyway, so the next obstacle after the daily 200, which is here, is the 4-hour 200 plus this triangle. If you just connect some upper, just look where price was, make a triangle. The next level after that for Ethereum would be the range from 2,300 to 2,400, $100 range. So I'll probably try to actually write that in here. And once Ethereum could get above all that, I mean, Bitcoin would probably have, Bitcoin led by Ethereum would probably, Bitcoin could probably get to, I mean, although it has its own obstacles, if Ethereum could pass those 3 obstacles, the next one would be way up here, which could equate to Bitcoin at about 48K. I mean, if you see Ethereum get past here and base off of it, I don't think this, that could be an obstacle. I guess I'll draw the next couple obstacles. I think this would be a mild obstacle. I think it would go past that, ping off of it first potentially. So I would actually go like that. And then, but this would probably be a really big obstacle. So I will actually put a thick line here. I'll make that as a big obstacle. That's going to be tough to pass. But if Ethereum can get past that would allow Bitcoin to reach well deep into the 40Ks. So, but then again, I really, really see in the charts that Ethereum is leading. Bitcoin will make a move once Ethereum decides what it's doing next. I think that trend is going to continue because it's very clear. It's strikingly clear to me that Bitcoin has been chilling at the bottom of its triangle, waiting for Ethereum to test its bottom of the triangle again and then make up its damn mind. And that's exactly what happened, right? So I think it's going to continue happening, especially with all the big events that's going on with Ethereum, well, a lot of you know way more about Ethereum than I do. And so make sure that in your analysis, you are looking at Ethereum quite heavily. And that's pretty much what I got for you. So if you happen to be new and you saw this different type of video here, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit the like button even if you're not new. And if you were new and you subscribed to this, try to let me know in the comments section whether you want to be a cryptillion or a crypto crackhead. I like to know which crypto pronoun that folks have chosen, and we'll go from there. We'll see you next time.